Hey, hello everybody. Hi, how's it going? I guess we'll get started. So this is Mighty Breakout B. This is advertising and other revenues, and we're going to be talking about the burning question: how do we pull in more revenue to pay for local reporters? Because the more we can make, the more we can do with our reporting and with our businesses. So I'm Scott Brodbeck. I am the founder, publisher, editor of 3 sites in the DC area. ARLnow.com, which serves Arlington, Virginia. That's the flagship. Reston Now in Reston, Virginia, another DC suburbs. And then we have a site that we acquired last year that was a neighborhood blog and is now covering the neighborhoods in Northwest Mid-City DC. So I think probably, the reason that I was asked to be up here is because we have, for a long time, focused on diversifying our revenue outside of just display advertising. Display advertising remains our bread and butter. It's maybe 50 to 60% of our business is just the rectangles and that you see on pages. But I think among a lot of people, there's a recognition that while those are effective, and we have case studies, showing that they have been effective for our advertisers, they are not the end-all, be-all. They are not the solution that works best in all cases for all advertisers, and there are, in fact, other things we can do to provide value to our clients. And that's really, to me, what you want to be focused on when you're thinking about what you're selling. Is it's not just how much money I can make, it's what value can I provide to the clients, because if you're not providing value, those sales are not going to renew. And, we all operate in local areas. There are only so many clients we can go to. We want to, have happy clients who renew their ads and tell their friends about it and how great it was. So what we've done is we've extended to a number of other lines of business. The primary one is native content. I'm sure everybody in here hears a lot about native content, native advertising, sponsored content. There are a number of different terms for it, but it's about 40% of our business right now. Thereabouts. Don't add up my percentages. They're not going to add up to 100 for some reason. Right. So, we have a variety of different types of sponsored content on our site. We have sponsored columns that are weekly or biweekly features that the local real estate agent writes, on various local real estate topics to become and present themselves as an expert in their field. We have, one-off sponsored articles that a company will publish. We just launched one that we have like a morning links post where we aggregate news from other sources in the morning, and we just added a new product where we're going to have a sponsored link in at the bottom of the morning links post that we think is native to that. In other words, when you think native advertising, you want to try to think what is going to be useful for readers, what's going to be native to the content experience. And so we think that is going to be a cool opportunity for our advertisers to, in a non-invasive way, reach our audience and provide something of value to that audience. So we have that. We have a whole bunch of other types of sponsored content that I won't bother you with. We have some other things that are smaller parts of our business. 5% or so of our business events we're doing more of, but we're just sort of dipping our toes into that recently. And then we just launched a podcast that we sold a sponsorship for, and we hope will grow and present more sponsorship opportunities. But I will try not to monopolize the time here and hand it off, and we'll answer your questions a little later.
Okay. Hi, I'm Scott Barnett. I'm not going to use this. I'm loud enough.
That's to record.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Okay. I'll put it right there. So I'm Scott Barnett with Bizyhood. So we are a software company, technology platform, and our platform is built and meant specifically for hyperlocal publishers, and primarily those publishers that service a community. And we have been focused very much on alternative revenue sources for the past year and a half. We think advertising is, obviously critical, and it makes up the bulk of most of the revenues of the people in the room. But as everyone has told me, and I believe as well, it's not enough, right? If it's not shrinking, it's certainly not growing at a level where you feel like it can be the primary revenue generator. I've been a software guy my entire career, and I started off selling enterprise software, so I was used to selling packages that were in the millions of dollars, and that was very lucrative for a while. And then software as a service came in, and all of a sudden you could start selling things at a lower price point on a monthly subscription basis, and all of a sudden that opened the door to a whole bunch of new people that could start doing things with software that they couldn't do before because they couldn't afford the millions of dollars of software. So that's been kind of ingrained in my brain. And when we looked at this space and we looked at how much and everyone's complaining, no one wants to pay for our ads. It's hard to be competitive. How do you compete against all the other people that are selling ads? The way we looked at it is most of you are only capturing up to 5% of your target market, right? That are actually paying for advertising. That means there's 95% of the businesses out there in your target market that aren't buying anything from you. So if we can build a product that they pay for on a monthly basis, that's at a price point that they can afford, that they don't think that much about, and versus going back to them after a 3-month or a 6-month or a 12-month ad and say, hey, can you give me another $1,000 or $2,000? They're going to think very hard about that. But if you're charging them $20 or $30 or $50 a month, and you're providing value, and they can pay that consistently every single month, at $50 a month, you're going to make $600 a year on that customer. And if you can double or triple the number of people that are paying you, and do it in a way where there's a relatively low cost of sale. It obviously has to be a low cost of sale thing to get $50 a month, and low churn. That's a big money maker. Now it takes a little bit of time to build up that model, and if you look at software as a service companies, what you'll find is that most of them lose money for a year or two, right? Because they're building up their base, and then all of a sudden, once they hit that tipping point, the money comes in, and they start becoming profitable, and every month they're making more and more money. So it's an investment up front. There's no magic to this. There's an investment up front, but then once you get to the tipping point, you're generating revenue for every new customer that comes on board. That's free revenue coming into your business. So that's the model that we're focused on. So we're trying to build products that allow you to sell things with a relatively low cost of sale, hopefully self-service if possible, so the businesses can sign up themselves, where there's enough value where they're just continually paying that recurring fee every single month. Right? And of course, the other big benefit is that once you have that, you now have the ability to upsell all the things that you're doing now. Advertising, sponsored ads, all events, anything else that you're making money on up front, you now have a large list of leads. Right? Anybody that signs up for a business directory listing, as an example, that gives you their email address and their phone number, that's leads. And so we have, since last year, we have a handful of publishers. Corner Media in Brooklyn has well over 350 businesses that have signed up completely on their own, all self-service, all through their site, because they have really good calls to action on their website that lead people right to the directory and to sign up. So that's 350 new people that they can call on that they didn't have before, right? Racine County Eye doing an amazing job. And they publish, when a new business signs up and pay, they post it right on Facebook immediately. And she'll even boost posts. And that gets other people incented to sign up. When someone signs up for free, she'll say, hey, congratulations, so-and-so business just signed up for free. Do you want to claim your listing? Sign up here. So in the past 8 months, they've had 150 businesses sign up on the free tier. Red Bank Green, focused on restaurants, right? So we have a lot of restaurants, and we're starting to do all these programs around restaurants and food so that we can really dive in. And his goal is to kill Yelp in Red Bank. All the restaurants hate Yelp. And he wants to be the go-to resource for restaurants in the community. Yeah. So that's really, we're not a publisher, but we love all of you. We want to help you make more money, and we think that a recurring revenue model is an awesome complement to the things you're already doing now. So.
I just wanted to add to that quickly. I love the idea of having a sort of lower marginal cost add-on that you could add on to your clients. Your best customers often are your existing customers, as Eleanor can attest. And if you have a sort of a lower cost option that can provide value to clients who are using something else, who are advertising clients, tell them to supersize it or Bizyhood it or something.
Yeah. Actually, so one of our publishers who is starting to make some money has told me their biggest value hasn't been the businesses signing up. It's that they've been able to hold their prices on their advertising, because what they do is, instead of people coming and saying, "Oh, I'd love to advertise, but I can't afford $500. Give it to me for $350," and they'll say, "We really $500 is really what we do. But if you only have $350, you could sign up for your business directory listing, and we'll throw in one sponsored piece of content if you write the content. And they'll throw in a couple of little baby things that make it sound like they're getting a deal, and now they're in, right? And once they're in, they feel they can upsell them to larger packages."
Awesome. That's a tough act to follow. So
I'm sure you're going to do.
You guys
great.
heard from me earlier today. So I'm Eleanor Cippel. I'm with Coats to Coats. We're a consultancy. Everyone in our consultancy has a background in some sort of media. My background has been in innovation, digital, and obviously running sales and running businesses. So the work that I do now is work that I love. I have the opportunity to work with a lot of publishers, but really specializing in business sustainability, business operation, trying to ensure that you get to a point that you are operating well, you can reduce your run rate, you have product diversity, and you have a great sales plan. And so when we talk about how to get to a place where you can generate more revenue and you can and you can become a more sustainable business, there are a couple of components that are really necessary for that. So first, you really do have to have product diversity and an understanding of what those products are going to be, how you're going to deploy them. We talked a little bit earlier today about prioritizing, but product diversity is really important. You can't have all of your eggs in one basket. There's too much risk in that. And the other thing in that is that you do have to have some sort of plan around that, or at least even if it's for 100 days, a methodical thought process, because it's too easy to run around and get caught off by shiny objects or things that take too much time. So having a revenue plan and a structure around product diversity is really good. Then the next piece is, having some sort of sales action plan, whether that's you, whether that's a partnership, whether that's a combination of you, resources, assistance, however that comes together for you and your organization, and some measurement around whether or not where you're applying your efforts actually are getting you a return. Because we can sometimes just get really busy. We have a lot going on, and we're chasing through selling things, trying to sell things, trying to put things into play that we're really not getting traction on. And you have to have an evaluation process to say, am I not approaching this properly, or is the market just not interested in this? Is this just not a feasible product or an approach for me to be taking? And then the third thing is a strategy around your retention and your business, because truly the value of a lifetime customer is a remarkable value. And if you start to do the math, if you just say, I have a customer that on average spends $200 a month, and calculate that over 5 years and then multiply that by 100, I mean, it's significant money. And it's far easier to get a greater share of wallet from an existing advertiser than it is to get a new advertiser. You certainly have to have balance in both. But losing an advertiser that's so incredibly painful, right? Because of the time and effort that it takes to get another one in the pipeline to build it back up. So your retention strategy around nurturing those advertisers, making sure that you have good communication with them, that you're talking with them about success, and then bringing them additional things that can help them effectively market their business and grow further. So those are a lot of topics, all in one sentence. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I'm just going to stop talking.
Hi, I'm Kim Clark, and my website is Noozhawk, and our publisher, Bill McFadden, is taking my picture right now. I'm sure you'll post it for me, huh? And so we're in Santa Barbara, California, and Noozhawk is in its 9th year. currently. My background was with the daily paper. I was there for 14 years, so very strong print background. My role at the company is Vice President of Business Development, so I'm money penny, if you want to see me in the bond light. So I was brought on board by Bill, I guess going on 4 years now. And I was very happy to, because when I left the local newspaper, I was the online sales manager. So I was really already very invested in going digital, and I was fighting sort of with a lot of the people that were still in the print mode, that, print is going to probably start losing its audience. So fast forward 20 years later, and now we have clients coming to us saying, we want to cut back on our print budget, we want to do some digital, can you help us with that? 20 years ago, I had banks telling me, oh, no one will ever put their credit card into a computer, identity theft is way too risky, this will never ever take off. So I just relish those meetings. When I get to sit, at some of the larger banks in our community and talk to a group of people of how I can help them with their digital campaign, going forward. So part of our success is, simply the shift from print to digital. And we've had a lot of growth in our page views, which is something that we all need to really keep our eyes on. Our pricing, from what I hear, this is my second Lions conference, is higher than a lot of other local independent publishers. And when I started with the company, we had a rate sheet, and it was based on a flat amount per week per position. So bless you. So there was a budget for everyone. If you wanted that top leaderboard or that top big box one right on the homepage and all of the local news stories, you'd be paying more than someone that was down the page, or as they like to still say, below the fold, which kills me when people say that. But I'm all, yeah, when you fold your computer in half, I guess that's below the fold. I'm always trying to educate people to get out of that whole print lingo. But anyway, So a few things that I implemented right away that helped us grow our revenue. We had a 30% increase in revenue year over year when I came on board, was simply having a rate structure that you stick to. You don't give Joe down the street a better deal than Susie up the street. These are our rates because our product is valuable. This is the audience we're delivering. These are the page views you're going to get. And, it just made it very simple. Changing the mentality of the sales team that we had in place was a little bit difficult because it was sort of the whole used cars salesman approach, I have a deal for you today kind of thing. So we changed that, and I went more to the consultative sale. Like, what is it you're trying to achieve? Why do you want to explore the digital realm? Really listen to your customers and understand. I've had some great conversations with people since I've been here. And if you're working with a client who doesn't have a website, they probably shouldn't be your client, unless you're in the business of building websites for your clients, which we're not. So, I always do my due diligence and will prospect for people that have robust websites, that obviously are trying to promote them, that are already, at that level. So, when you tell someone, how much did you spend on your website? Don't you want to promote it? Don't you want people to find it? So educating your sales team is really important with all those things. So sticking with the rates was number one. Number two was implementing deadlines. We didn't have deadlines. Without deadlines, I don't know how you really know what's going on and when the ads are going to be loaded and that kind of thing. And it sounds like a very simple thing, but we didn't have them. So we implemented deadlines. And what that did was just make us a much more professional organization. So when we had a client buy an ad, they knew what to expect from us, and they knew that we would deliver, because this is your deadline to reserve your space. This is when you need to get us your assets. This is when the ad will go live. This is when you'll expect your analytics. Another thing that we weren't really sending to people regularly. So implementing, sending out analytics monthly to all of the advertisers really made a huge impact on the validity of their digital presence. Because in the print world, every newspaper is read by 2.1 people because, I don't know, it sounds good. But you really can't prove that. It's you know. And I used to handle some of our total market coverage products that would be thrown in the driveway with all the inserts, and you know what happens to those, birdcage, kind of stuff. So when people see a digital printout of these are how many page views your ad received, these are the click-throughs you received, and then this is what that means. It's educating the client to, if your ad is a call to action, then the clicks are really important because you want people to click on it and you want them to buy a ticket to your event, or you want them to register for your consultation if you're like a banker or a financial planner. If it's just pure marketing and you just want to get your name out there, then maybe the page views are more important than the actual click-throughs, and just explaining that is important. And understanding that yourself is very important, because believe it or not, even the agencies that we work with still ask me, is that good? Is that good? Is 500 clicks good? I'm like, well, let's look at the national average. So understanding that really helps. And then it's a very competitive reason, or compelling reason, for people to continue with their ad buy. We have a variety of different products. Our top position open rate is about $700 for 1 week. I know, it's a lot more than $50 for a month. But what we have found is from my perspective, the clients that spend more with you actually are easier to maintain than the ones that are barely able to give you $100 because it's their last $100. So we do offer, though, lower level advertising, and what we've done to offer that in a way that's not painful for us is we have sections of our website, say our business section. So you just want to read what's going on in the business community, or our homes and lifestyle section. You're interested in fitness or interior design. So those sections will offer advertising units that are only seen in those sections. So of course the page views are less than run of site, where our local breaking news by far and large is where we get the majority of our readers. But it's a targeted audience. If I'm reading about, homes and lifestyle, then I might be interested in how to landscape my backyard for drought-tolerant plants, because we live in California, so that's what we have to deal with there. So a lot of our advertisers started off with a very modest ad buy in some of these exclusive sections, targeting their audience, and then they're like, wow, how much more would it cost if we went on the run of site and on the homepage and all the local news stories? And we're like, we could do it for just a week, or we could do it for 2 weeks, and let's see. So a lot of our advertisers, like you said, some of your best clients or your current clients, offer them something new, upsell them. And so some of these people have now gone all the way from just, we're just going to put our toe in the water, to, we really want to have ownership of your business section. How do we become the sponsor of that section? So all of our sections have sponsors. Our business section is sponsored by a law firm. Our local news section is sponsored by a commercial real estate company. We have a school zone section that is mostly contributed content, because we accept press releases from the community at large, and that is sponsored by a real estate company that has a teachers fund nonprofit that raises money for the schools, for pencils and papers and all those things that they don't have enough money for. So they want to have their logo associated with that content. So almost all of our sections have sponsors, because advertising isn't the only way to go. And that's much more of like a partnership. And those partnerships with these community leaders, it gives you validity in the market. When people go to your website and they see, Union Bank, or they see the local real estate company that everyone knows of, or they see, the high-profile law firm branding themselves alongside of you, you're no longer just that cute little website that people think, oh, isn't that nice? And when your competitors start to actually badmouth you, that was this big realization I had 2 years into my position. Everyone thought we were so cute, and oh yeah, Noozhawk, and then suddenly people were going for the jugular. And I remember telling Bill, our publisher, Well, I guess we finally arrived. People are really gunning for us now because we were a threat. We were actually taking market share. And so, it was kind of, I loved being hated once I realized what that meant for us.
Who's hating you?
Some of the local print publications, ones that have an online presence, but the online is buy print and then we'll give you this on the web, right? It's like that value added. And that was the business model that the print paper that I worked for did. And print reps aren't going to sell online because they make all their commission off of print, so they just ignore it. And it's always going to be an afterthought. And if you really want...
This is garbage for free.
Basically, yeah. But we don't have that constraint, and we're only digital, and so people are motivated to sell digital.
So if that happens to you in your market, if competitive media in the marketplace starts talking about you or hating you, at that point, accelerate your ad work like nobody's business. Just get out there and hustle. Hustle, because they're out there also saying the same things to advertisers, and there's this incredible opportunity for you to kind of take this high horse, which is a really lovely place to be as a seller, right? Because now you're on the side of the fence where you're saying, Mr. Advertiser, I'm not saying that it's a bad idea to continue on with the investment that you have with this publication or this product, but what I am saying is that you're not getting the full amount of reach that you could. So if we just reduced your budget 50%, and you gave 50% to me, you would gain all of this additional reach. And then when this is so, I feel so sneaky when I say this, but so when the competitive product comes in because their budget is getting cut 50%, they just start bad mouthing you. And at the end of that, you get the money, and you're the person who's trying to help the advertiser, which was not deceiving at all, because you are trying to help the advertiser. But the moment that you feel like they are getting a little prickly with you, sell like nobody's business. Just hustle, hustle, hustle. Because when they're on the defensive is the best time to gain share.
There was one thing that Eleanor just said that I think is important, and that is believe in your product. Believe in what you're selling. I will admit that when I also started, if you were here for the last breakout, like Traven, I sort of started our Arlington site on a whim. Like, I'm just going to do this and see what happens. There was no business plan. I was not planning to sell any ads. Well, I hoped to maybe at some point, but there was no immediate plan. And I came from a news background, and sales, I would fill sales as they came in. I was a little ambivalent towards it, being a skeptical journalist. I felt like a salesman, like a used car salesman.
That's a bad thing.
Like a used car salesman.
It used to feel like a bad thing. Now it's like a shirt underneath it.
I drive a used car. It's fine, but someone sold it to me. But no, I was a little uneasy about it, and one of the things that's come with time is a realization that what I'm selling has value, and we actually are helping our clients, and that is our goal, is to help our clients, and that what we're providing to them is helping them make more money. And so my maternity, I hadn't done sales for a while, other than a few clients that I'm friendly with. I hadn't really done many sales for a while. My sales director went on maternity leave this summer, and I was scared shitless that we were just gonna not sell anything during that time. And wouldn't you know that all of a sudden, I was able to actually keep the sales going apace. And part of it was because when I was talking to advertisers, I came up with solutions for them that I really thought was going to work. And you know what? The print reps out there who are selling the same thing, they don't necessarily have that confidence as much anymore, because they're losing readers, and they're priced pretty high compared to what us digital players are able to offer with our business model. So just something to keep in mind.
And can I add one thing to that? So Another thing to consider, so we talked about gaining more share of wallet from your existing advertisers or creating great solutions. And so when you start working with an advertiser and you want to go back and you want to work with them, I mean, you're watching their analytics reports, you're seeing what kind of performance they have on their ad. A key mistake that folks make is not asking advertisers how things are working for them. They're afraid it's not, right? So they don't talk about it at all and then show up when the contract is done. And they don't regularly go back and say, here's what I see. If you flip that and you've created a solution and you set that solution forward with an approach that says, and we're going to test and iterate this, right? So we're going to continue to look at the performance of this ad solution and make sure that we're measuring it and looking at it to get you the best results. If you go back to an advertiser and you've got another idea or you want to upsell them or you think there's something else out there and you approach that to say, hey, Scott, I've been looking at the reports from your campaign and it's performing well, but I think if we did this and this and this, that we could actually get you a better result. Is this a creative idea that you'd be willing to look at? I think we'll have better performance. They always respect that, and they always respond. I mean, I've had people say no to me a lot in my career, but I've never had anyone say, no, I don't want to look at that.
You're absolutely right. And one thing that we do is encourage advertisers. Like it's great to get someone to sign up for a year-long program. I mean, that's the goal. You want someone to be on an annual contract. They're running every week or we do things in increments of 52, 26, 13, and 8 weeks, and we give discounts for long-term ad buys. But if you just run that same ad and never change it for 12 months solid, and then you go up and you're like, oh, so you don't want to renew? They're like, eh. Well, you never checked in with them, like you said. So, and encouraging your clients to change their creative. I tell my clients, you should have a new ad at least once a month. I mean, they get really ambitious and they're like, well, can we change it every week? And I go, if you want, but experience tells me that you'll be lucky to have a new ad to me once a month. But you can change it any time you like. But then follow up with that and then have an in-house creative person. And, for us, it could be a freelancer so that you can offer that to them. Good digital ads, from my experience, are much more like a magazine ad. Good images, clean logo, eye-catching. Our readers understand it's a portal to a website. I discourage my advertisers to put in a lot of fine print. I tell all my advertisers, don't put your address in there. Don't put your phone number. Please don't put your URL. Don't put www. But you look online and you'll see a lot of advertisers still putting all that information. And I have people call me up and they're like, oh, our ad, we forgot to put our phone number. And I said, well, when's the last time you were sitting at your computer or looking on your phone and you looked at the digital ad and you suddenly decided you're going to call? I go, do you ever do that? And well, no. What do you do? Well, I click on it. Yeah, and when you click on it, you go to their website and you touch the phone number on the website. If you're on your cell phone, it's going to call, right? Yeah, I guess so you don't need to put that in. Okay. So you have to explain, and the same thing with the address. I mean, because it's just a lot more information that takes away from the eye-catching creative photo, logo, whatever it is you want to put in there. So that's really important as well, with working with the client and to make sure that it's going to be a compelling campaign that people are actually going to want to interact with.
Along the click lines, I don't know if you saw it in the Lion's Den, 2-3 weeks ago, someone was asking about this, that, somehow you should tell people, okay, of course, a lot of times we say, click for more information or click to buy tickets. Mm-hmm. That should be obvious. I actually had one of our readers, an older woman, send me an email saying, why isn't so-and-so's Delson Insurance's telephone number on their ad? And I said, because you're supposed to click it and go to their website. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point. Anyway, so.
And there are still those people out there, but they're slowly dying off, and pretty soon we won't have to worry about that anymore. Sorry.
This is more of a technical question, but I don't know how to create rather than a link to a website, can the ad just call? Can you just touch the ad and call? It's got to be a different code to do that.
Sure you can. Yeah.
servers?
Yeah. Ask Kenny, I'm pretty sure he can enable it in Broad
It's a
Street.
different kind of URL.
Yeah, you get to put the URL in there.
If you're doing it as a hyperlink, I know that you put TEL colon and then the number without dashes.
All right, I'll look that up. I got it.
That's an interesting question. We've never done that.
Now, when you do that, on desktop, it's unclear what happens. Sometimes it'll
Yeah.
skip
But
or
your ad
it's a
server,
mobile, it's
your
a
ad
mobile
server
phone.
can differentiate creatives between mobile
And hopefully you're running that as a mobile only unit.
Yeah.
If that works correctly, then it will, on that phone, just
Right.
call.
So if you're advertising to get people to call the legislators on your legislator's office or something like that. That's the way to go.
Joe?
Ms. Noozhawk, Kim,
Yes.
can you explain your workflow of sending out the statistics to your clients?
Certainly. I'm lucky enough to have an executive marketing assistant who's my right hand, and she will send out the analytics. At the end of each month, she goes through our ad inventory, and she'll pull the report, and she'll email it to the client. And what we do, we use DFP. So we take a screenshot because some people like the visual where they can see a graph. But then she also types in there, your ad that ran from this date to this date received X amount of page views and X amount of click-throughs, which, and the national click-through ratio, CTR, is, so that people get an idea, is that good, is that bad? If you have any further questions, please contact your sales representative. We look forward to your next ad campaign or maybe a promotion for a special section we're doing. Yeah, it takes her probably, she probably spends a few hours on it for maybe the week, so they go out in batches. And some of our larger clients, need those at a certain point, so they're first on the list. It isn't an ideal situation because it's still a manual process, and we're working towards, right now, making that a little bit more automated to free her up to do other things.
So you take a screenshot in DFP, the report, you take a screenshot of the spreadsheet, or what do you take a screenshot of?
A screenshot of the graph that just shows, and then that changed. I don't know if they show that graph anymore, but because some people are visual and some people are number oriented, so we try to do both. And so that's what we do. I know with Broad Street, they generate it themselves, and it goes out automatically. And we've looked into working with them for that reason.
But you still have to tell them what it means.
But you still have to explain, exactly. Yeah.
That's the thing that Kim said there is a really important factor. Because you get clients who get these analytics reports, and they don't know whether that's good or bad.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at click-through rates, these are really low numbers. And so they need your translation. They need to understand. So the key to research and the key to presenting research is show them what they're looking at and then tell them what they're looking at. So if you skip that step, you will have some
Yeah, because 0.1% is, between 0.1 and 0.2 is the national average. And way back, when the internet was invented, we're getting 2% click-throughs because everyone was just clicking on everything because it was just like, whoa, wow, but that's just not the case anymore.
It took 6 months to get there.
So people need to understand that, and even agencies and some high-level executives that I talk to, they don't know. That's not their core competency. So,
Is this interactive? Can I say something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, because I don't have a microphone, so people at home won't hear me. But
Oh.
I do use Broad Street, and the way I do it is I download the PDF of the full report that has the graph and all the, geo-targeting, and then I send it in a personal email that says, hey Mary, here's your, here's a report for the month. It looks like, your views are up this month. Probably, partly because of that news bump we had back on September 17th, as you'll see in the graph. But, this is, wonderful. You also note that it's, X amount above the industry average. And then sometimes I use that, especially if their campaign is winding down, to say, if you want to try another ad style, or something. I put in something to lead them toward thinking
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
what to do next. But I try to explain it in a personal email with the report attached. I don't spend any time on the, I don't have to worry about the report. It's all done and beautiful and professional, but taking that moment to connect with them or whatever and follow up if you have questions. They're having questions,
Yeah.
but I find that to be pretty good. People usually always, immediately respond, oh, fantastic, or something.
Thank you very much. We'll contact you next time. Well, it validates their ad buy. Makes them feel smart.
Yeah, they're not getting that from the competitors. They're not getting any of that.
Yeah. There was a question in the back.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question about that. We're sending out our analytics with our invoices. And I want to know if you have
Generally speaking, we don't send the invoice to the same person that receives the analytics. The invoice goes to, the bookkeeper, accounting, and so the analytics are going to go to the person who actually bought the media campaign. So we don't, simply because they're two different people. And when our analytics are sent out, I get CC'd on all the analytics that go out, whether it's my account or not, because I just want to I always take a look and see which clients are getting a good response, because if they're not, I'll talk to the salesperson. I'll be like, look at their click-through ratio is flatlining. When's the last time they, changed their ads? So I want to see them all, but they also have the opportunity to respond back and say, well, what does this mean? Lots of times, is this good? That type of thing. So I would suggest you try maybe sending your analytics more to the key person who's going to buy the next.
well, we do.
Okay,
But we're sending the invoice also goes, in most cases, in our,
so the same person handles both.
yes, in most
Okay.
cases.
Okay.
We sell to a lot of small business.
Well,
The buyer is usually the owner,
mhm.
and the analytics actually help us sell a lot of ads.
Yeah.
Because most people can't furnish that information.
Well, if that works for you, I'd say keep doing it.
But my thought just now, as you all were talking, was sending it out with the invoice could be a negative. If for some reason it drops, they may look at the invoice and say, we're not going to do this.
Are you seeing what's going out? Are you looking at the reports that are going out? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my suggestion would be, if you see anything that's changed, get in front of that. So call your advertiser or go and see them before they see it, to give them a solution on to something that can help them perform better, right? Make a suggestion or do one of those things. And then with those reports, I would suggest making sure that you actually go out and deliver them, if the advertiser is local, no less than once a quarter, so you're getting a face-to-face. Yeah, but I mean personally, with your explanation, your physical explanation versus the email.
I would even say doing it separate just gives you another touch point with that customer.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're out of time, so
Okay.
is there any other quick question? One more quick question, anybody? No? All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.